Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Dana, and I will be your host. And our guest today is Robin Saunders. Hello, Robin. How are you?
Hi, Dana. Thanks for letting me do this with you.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. So before we get started, why don't you take a minute and just tell everybody a little bit about you, what you do, and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. Well, I obviously am I'm obviously a person who's passionate about cybersecurity. And my passion really started when I got very interested in IT and computers way back, probably before you were born, back in the 19 late 70s, early 80s, when I used to actually build my own computer with parts from Radio Shack, and I used to save up my babysitting money to do that. But unfortunately, back when I went to school, there were no formal courses in computer science or cybersecurity. But I continued as a geek. I continued to save babysitting money and build computers and learn more about them. And eventually, after I became very comfortable with Apple computers, I became an Apple systems operator. So I thought, okay, at least I'm going in the right direction. When I was getting a master's degree, I decided I had to take a language as part of the graduate study, and I was terrified. I thought, oh my gosh, I will never get through this. I was always terrible at languages in school, but they allowed Computer Basic to be a language for 1 year. So it kind of saved my bacon. And at that point, it sent me on a trajectory to find more IT courses. And I'm fast forwarding about 10 years when I met a wonderful gentleman who was starting a program in cybersecurity and healthcare. And he was a good friend of mine. He was actually a colleague at a university. And he said to me, look, Robin, you have a background in healthcare because my undergraduate degrees are in medical technology and nursing. And he said, you are also a cyber geek because you love this kind of stuff. I would love you to come into this program and then let me know at the end of it when you graduate what you think of it. So, of course, I took any opportunity that I could for free education. I would always encourage people to do that. And what I did was I call it jumping off the diving board. And I jumped off the diving board into the class, started my first class. I was the oldest person by at least 20 years in the class. I was the only woman, and I was terrified. There were all these amazing young gentlemen who had a lot of computer courses, who really knew what they were doing. And I was writing in the sidelines of the books and my notes terms like GUI, which are so basic in terms of interfaces for computers, things that everybody know. And the wonderful people in the class would actually give me suggestions about sci-fi movies to look at, to learn more about cybersecurity and to learn more about computer science. So I'd go home and I'd do my homework and I'd come back. And then it came to graduation. I graduated. I very happily graduated with honors, actually summa cum laude, with the degree in cybersecurity. And my mentor, who was amazing, said to me, so now what are you going to do? I was in my late 50s, and he looked at me and said, I know you have something specific that you want to do with this. And I said, yes. What I want to do is I want to be the go-between between people that really don't understand computer terminology, but they want to be cyber safe. I want to target the populations of the baby boomers and the seniors and children, because those are the two populations that are really digitally challenged. So what I did was I told him that I was going to go and I was basically going to start a YouTube channel, which I did, to create educational content for baby boomers and seniors. But that kind of morphed into a lot of other things. I have a wonderful website called CyberSafe Seniors that has a tremendous amount of educational material that's specifically designed for baby boomers and seniors and anybody who doesn't talk the talk and speak the same language as the geeks that you go to for advice. So I started CyberSafe Seniors, very, very successful. But there were still people that, although there was a lot of educational content there, it wasn't the specific content that they needed. So I started a companion website called Dear Robin, where people could actually write to me about their own cybersecurity problems, and I would answer them. So I was creating content and I was teaching at 3 different universities, and I was absolutely exploring all my passions in cybersecurity. And I'm a grandmother of 4 amazing grandchildren. And my oldest granddaughter, Ellie, came to me one day and she said to me, "Grandma, I got a smartwatch for Christmas." And I said, "That's fantastic. Now that you're on the internet, you need to know how to be safe." And she turned to me, she was 9 years old at the time, and said, "Grandma, what's the internet?" So I knew that I had another purpose. And I decided to create a site called Granny Geek. And what Granny Geek does is Granny Geek has written a number of books to help educate children about the problem, how to keep safe in cyberspace. And the first book, Granny Geek, Keeping Children Safe in Cyberspace, has been adopted by 2 Illinois school systems. And there are 3 other books that are going to be written in the series. So I went back to, after creating these books and content for the children, I thought, there's an opportunity here to create the first interactive ebook ever written in cybersecurity. Because to me, it's okay. It's much easier to show someone how to do something than it is to really explain it. And the combination of the digital aspect of the book, which then made it available to anybody who had an iPad or a digital device, and the interactive nature of it, in which sorry, and the interactive nature of it, so that people could actually go in and they could watch movies, they could listen to podcasts, they could listen to songs, they could practice the skills that were being taught to them in the digital book, was something that just hadn't been done before. So I wrote Cybersecurity for the Digitally Challenged. It's available on the Apple Book website. It's available at Apple Books. You can download it free to any iOS device. It's about 260 pages and is really designed for those people that want to be safe on the internet. They want to be safe online, but they're not quite sure how to do it. Now, the book has been downloaded by not just seniors and baby boomers, but basically every aspect of the population that wants to be able to keep themselves cyber safe. But it is not meant for a technical person, because you don't need to have any technical expertise to be able to do this. So that, in a nutshell, is a little bit about what I've done during the last 10 years.
Well, that is absolutely amazing. And, you're spot on with who needs help out there. And, that's how I kind of got started in this, was doing educational videos for that same exact sector of the population that does not understand all of the dangers that are out there. And, the older people tend to be more trusting, and the younger people have grown up just knowing technology. So they really don't understand some things are appropriate, some things are not appropriate to be online, because they just think everything is always out there for everybody to see. So that's awesome. All that great stuff that you did. That's fabulous.
Yeah. And it's, you know this as well. I mean, your passion is what feeds this.
Mm-hmm.
I love creating my PhD is in digital media and communications. So I'm lucky enough to be able to combine that with cybersecurity and create things that people like to see. Back in the olden days, we would open a book, we would learn something, and that would be it. Nowadays, populations want to see it, they want to hear it, they want to touch it, they want to work with it. And that's the way that I'm producing my content to best serve those particular populations.
Which, one thing you pointed out, which I think is completely spot on, is the whole idea of showing somebody something versus explaining something to somebody, especially because some of this stuff, this techie stuff, goes way over everybody's head. And even if what you're explaining is a simple thing, like what to look for in an email, some of the language gets a little bit too complicated when you're telling somebody. They don't know, where am I looking? What am I looking for, kind of thing. But if you show them, then that's the easiest way for them to remember when they run into that situation, what they should do.
That's exactly right. And allow them to practice the skill on themselves. In Cybersecurity for the Digitally Challenged and in the Granny Geek books, you get to create a password. You get to see if it's secure. You get to look at other secure passwords. And you get to look at the ways many people have done it to make it easier for you.
Well, if you send me all those links, I'll make sure they get dropped down in the show notes so anybody can click on them, because that sounds like those are amazing resources. So fantastic. All right, so now we're going to hop into our conversation here, and today we're going to talk right along these same lines, is non-technical people protecting themselves online. So we touched a little bit on this, about how did you get interested in creating educational content for the digitally challenged population. Is there anything else you want to expound on that, or do you think you kind of covered all that stuff?
Well, I think, these digitally challenged populations are are so vulnerable because these are the people that the hackers attack. You know, baby boomers and that generation and seniors are very trusting. They're a trusting generation, and unfortunately they will trust things like a text message from a friend that might have been spoofed from somebody that was a hacker. They'll trust a grandchild calling them and saying, look, I've been in a terrible car accident, when in fact it's not your grandchild at all. It happens to be somebody trying to get your money. So the baby boomers and seniors are particularly close to my heart, because most of these people, they love you know, what the general public I think doesn't really understand is that these are very active technology users, and a lot of times very early adopters of technology. But because technology was not around, they're not digital natives. This is not something that comes easily to them, and they don't understand the problems. They don't understand that, you know, having the same password for 15 different accounts presents a big problem if somebody hacks one of them. They don't understand that, you know, privacy, that if you want to keep something private, and I always tell people this, if you want to keep something private, keep it in your head, because right now it's the only place that privacy really exists. On the internet, it does not. You know, a lot of these people have Facebook accounts because they're the older adults are, that's the way they correspond, and they see their grandchildren and their children and their neighbors and their friends. But they also have to know to keep as much of their data private as possible. You know, those wonderful Facebook accounts always have these great, you know, games that people play, and people will forget that really what it is a data gathering device. So you've got to be very careful about that. And on the other end of digitally challenged people are the young people who absolutely love technology. They've never known a world without it. They try to, as much as possible, adopt every new technology experience that they possibly can, but they also do not understand, and education in cybersecurity really has not been embedded in a lot of the elementary school educational curriculum. And that's the point in time where these people are, where these students are first touching technology. You know, my grandchildren were 9 when they got their smartwatches, and that's third grade. And you know, that's early. And if you don't have somebody that's saying, hey, you know, the internet is this place that's you know, that you haven't been to before, and you have to be very careful about meeting friends there. You have to be careful about any person that tries to be your friend that you don't know. You know, immediately tell your parents. All of those things I think are so very important, so that we can keep our younger children safe and keep the older population safe as well.
Are you having a hard time finding new customers? A lot of folks just like you in the IT and cybersecurity space are in the same situation. And they have embraced a new opportunity to get new clients. They're doing this by growing their online presence and maximizing the power of LinkedIn. How, you ask? I have a tried and tested method called my Cyber Social Program. I myself have been on LinkedIn and now have over 3.5 million LinkedIn views, and over on YouTube, I have over 750,000 video views. So I can show you exactly how I have done that, so that you can promote your organization and become the authority in your industry. And the best part is, I've done all of this organically without one paid ad. You don't need to waste your money over on Google with pay-per-click ads. Now's the time to establish yourself. Look around. The competition isn't doing it. This is your time to shine online before they do. So if you're ready to start your online journey and future-proof your business, please, down below, click the link and schedule a time for us to have a 45-minute call where I can review the exact methodology of the Cyber Social Program. You can also click below to see some of my masterclasses, which will give you quick little snippets of a couple of things you can do right away on LinkedIn that will help with your profile. I hope to see you and hear from you soon.
Absolutely. So speaking a lot about them, so as far as why is it important to educate the older ones and the younger ones about the dangers of the digital world, there's a lot involved in first of all, I think with the kids, exposing them to vulnerabilities that they don't even understand. I mean, when we were kids, it was, don't go near the white van with the guy outside who's handing out candy, kind of thing. And this is the digital predator is probably even worse because they have access where these kids are, maybe in their room on a gaming device, or, they don't even have to be outside. We had to be outside in the world so that was where the risk was exposed, where now with them having these devices, they are exposed to everything. And one thing I just want to quickly mention that I talk about all the time are these location tracking devices, such as like the Snapchat app with the Snapchat maps. And these kids, everybody wants to be on the Snapchat map because you have to know where all your friends are, and you need them to know where you are. And they do not understand how dangerous this is, because they also want to have a lot of quote unquote friends. So they allow people into their community, into their circles, not even knowing who these people are. Maybe it looks like somebody that maybe they're friends with or something like that. So they think, okay, great, let's just let them all in. And now they have access to track all of you. So I didn't want to interrupt, but I just want to make sure I throw that Snapchat map thing in there.
No, that's perfect. That's actually a great example. I have a 15-year-old niece who is absolutely wonderful, but she is stunningly beautiful, and she has an Instagram account. And actually, part of this is educating the parents as well. I looked at her Instagram account, and she has about 2,500 quote unquote friends. And I called up my brother, who is her father, and said, I'm really concerned about this. Does she really have 2,500 friends? And he kind of looked at it and said, well, probably not. I said, then you've got to be looking at these accounts and finding out, who's trying to friend her, because at 15 years old, the only thing you want is for everybody to like you. You want to be popular. You want to have a lot of friends. And and they put themselves into very, very tenuous and very scary positions.
Mm-hmm. They do. And then as far as the older people, one thing is as well with the grandparent scam that you had mentioned, that a lot of people fall for that. And I always say we have to talk about that scam, because the more times we talk about it, the more somebody may stop and think when they get that phone call coming in and someone's pretending to be their grandson, that they'll at least say to themselves, wait a minute, this sounds like one of those scams I heard about. And that's an important thing, because I hate to even say this, but when people fall for these scams, they go on the quote unquote scam list, and then that gets sold out on the dark web. So then they're like, oh, here's a sucker, go call this person for whatever, or go try to pull this scam on that other person. And you hate to think of people falling for these scams more than once, but unfortunately they do. And sometimes they don't tell their children, which are maybe people in their 60s and that age group, 70s. And then the problem is that they don't tell them because they're embarrassed, because they think that their adult children are going to take away their, them being able to control their finances and all that kind of stuff. So do you have anything else to add to all that when it comes to the older folks?
Well, yeah. And it's particularly scary because a lot of these older adults don't understand the kind of information that technology can give these hackers. For example, if you have a Facebook account, somebody has access to all kinds of things. They can, in most cases, tell where you live. They can tell your children's names. If you have your children's names up there, they can tell what you like and what you don't like. And these scammers, particularly with the grandparent scam now, their newest thing is that they use Google Maps a lot. And they basically, they can get a bird's eye view of your home and actually see the color of your mailbox and say, hey, look, I'm standing across the street. Your mailbox is green. And if you don't pay me the money that you owe me, I'm going to come and I'm going to kill you. And they have become very, very threatening and very real. And I have the most amazing 93-year-old aunt. And she is super computer savvy. She's got a large Macintosh computer. She does amazing research. She's incredible. But I have had to teach her to be cyber safe. And she had a situation where a telephone number had been spoofed to her from her bank, and started asking questions about her accounts and saying her basically her password had been compromised. And she was smart enough to know to copy down the number that it had come from, to hang up the phone, and to call the police and let them know that somebody was trying to get into her accounts. But most people are not like that. They're very trusting. If all of a sudden you get a text from your next door neighbor saying, hey, oh, geez, I noticed that you were having some problems today, and I just want you to click on this link because I have the solution to your problem. And that came from somebody who was spoofing the number because they were able to get into my contacts and find out the number for my neighbor You click on the link and you're going to be downloading malware. You could be downloading malware that could begin to operate your telephone, begin to, to turn on your video recording device, your audio recording device, and all kinds of things. And just the simple education about don't click on links. If somebody sends you a link in a text, call them first to see if they've actually sent it. And
Mm-hmm.
don't pick up any telephone numbers that you don't recognize. And that's really difficult for people because, particularly a lot of senior citizens, they want to talk to people during the day and, tell them their lifeline and to tell them, nope, don't pick it up if you don't know it. It'll go to voicemail and then you can always call them back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. These are all excellent, excellent tips. So, okay. So what are some specific cybersecurity threats? If we had let's say the top 5, what would you say?
Let's see, for baby boomers and seniors, it's things like the grandparent scam, which we've described, any sort of a scam, phishing scams that come after your finances. There are romance scams, believe it or not. Those are one of the biggest populations that are targeted for romance scams because they're very trusting.
Mm-hmm.
I think those would be my top 3 would be phishing scams, the grandparent scam, and romance scams for seniors. For children, it runs the gamut because these poor children have no idea, even what a hacker is in most cases. But I think that the things that I like to protect children against are obviously friends online that they don't know, teach them about password protection, teach them how to educate other people in their age group about what the internet is, what kind of things you need to do to be safe on the internet, and how to protect their friends and relatives. And you use them in all populations. My biggest word is spread the word. If you've learned something here, let somebody else know about it. Tell somebody about the grandparent scam. Tell somebody about the financial scam that you almost had, and tell somebody about that strange person who is texting you, who seems to know everything about you, but you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're right. With older adults, they're very, very hesitant to tell anybody this because they're afraid that their families are going to step in and say, you've lost your marbles. I'm going to start taking away your technology. And in fact, it's not a matter of if people will be scammed now. It's almost a matter of when, because these hackers are getting more and more sophisticated every day. You have to understand this is what they do for a living. So they do it very, very well.
Mm-hmm. And one thing too about those relationship scams that I just want to throw out there is they don't always start out as a romantic scam, right? So sometimes it is just a relationship. Like let's say you go on words with friends, right? You're playing Scrabble and you find a partner that you enjoy playing with, and these guys are on there and they're there just for that reason because they want to start a little chitty chat, and then you get to play again and again and again, and then let's take this offline to WhatsApp, and then they go on to that, which is an anonymous site, and then that's where they start doing crafting their relationship and becoming your best friend and that whole thing. So it does happen different ways as opposed to just on just on dating sites. It's not the only place that's happening.
Right. And what they do is they're incredible at reconnaissance. They look at your Facebook accounts. They try to look at any emails that you send if they have access to that. So they learn how to be your perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
I've had older women say to me, but this person was perfect for me. Yes, of course they were, because you've given them enough information to be able for them to craft that perfect person that loves flowers just like you do, that has 3 grandchildren with similar names to yours, that lives in a place of the world where you only want to visit. All of these things they are masters at deception.
Yep.
Because this is their job and they do it really well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are definitely going out of your way to help lots and lots of people. So let's talk about you rattled off a little bit of where you can find your content, and you're going to send me some links, so we'll put it in the show notes, but just share a little bit more about where people can find your content.
Sure. My main website is cybersafesenior.com. And if you're not a senior, please don't be put off by the name. I've often thought I should probably change that URL. But what it is a place where you can go to find out the latest and the greatest information about cybersecurity in either a podcast, a vlog, a blog. There is content there for everyone. And I just actually started a new podcast series called Senior Moments, which are quick 1 minute discussions of the hack of the day, so to speak, and things that you need to look out for. So if you want to watch a 45-minute webinar, you certainly can do it on that channel. But if you want to listen to minute by minute updates on what the latest and the greatest security threats are, you can do that as well. If you need to ask me a specific question, dearrobin.com works very well. That's where you can just, let me know specifically what you're interested in. What question do you have about cybersecurity? And I will definitely answer you. And if you are a parent with children, grannygeek.com, which is my alternate personality, is a wonderful place to go for content for children. And both of these sites, cybersafesenior.com has a link to my book, Cybersecurity for the Digitally Challenged, so that you can easily download it, and it's free for anybody. I do it as a public service. Granny Geek, the books there are also free. So download them, have fun with them. Let me know what you think about them. Let me know if you have problems. Let me know if there's content that's missing. What I want to do is to make sure that you have the latest and the greatest information in a way that you can easily understand it and share it with your friends.
Well, you are doing huge things. And I'm telling you, you really are. You're leaving your mark on the world and leaving it a better place. And I think that's fabulous. I really, really do. So I want to get as much exposure for you as possible. So thank you so much for this. I hope you come back and we can do another chat about, something specific that's out there that's going to help people.
Well, listen, thank you for this opportunity. I'm telling you, you are the mentor for all of this. I think you and I both are passionate about what we do. And we love spreading the word about cybersecurity, and we love letting people know how to be safe.
Absolutely. Right. Just got to keep spreading the message, screaming it from the rooftops.
You get it. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you on the next episode. Till then, bye.
Bye.